Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. It's so greatly appreciated. Truly is. Before we get started, let me give you my usual disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. Please do not take what I say as fact. Please always do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Next, if you have not liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please consider doing so because it really helps me out and I really appreciate it. So today we are traveling all the way to Italy to discuss one of the most horrific serial killers in their country's history. If you watch me for any amount of time, then you would know that I typically have zero empathy for perpetrators. With that being said, I do have empathy for the perpetrators' younger selves as they are victims just like any other children. Okay, so let's start. Donato Bilancia was born on July 10th, 1951 in Potenza, Basilicata. When he was 5 years old, his family moved to northern Italy, first to Piedmont, Italy, and then to Genoa in the Liguria area. Growing up, Donato and his brother Michel suffered ABUSC at the hands of their father. Donato was a bedwetter, and he would remain a bedwetter until he was around the age of 12. When Donato would have an accident, his mother would take the mattress and she would... It just bothers me because she would take the mattress and she would put the mattress outside on the balcony for all the neighbors to see it and to laugh at her son. It's disgusting. His aunt would pull down his pants in front of all his cousins so that they could make fun of how small his penis was. Like, it's just horrible. Does shit like that. But despite all of the ABUSC at home, Donato had really good grades in elementary school. When he reached middle school, his grades went up taking a nosedive, and after he repeated the 8th grade for the 3rd time, he decided to drop out. After Donato dropped out, he worked odd jobs like mechanic, he was a bartender, he was a baker, and he was a delivery boy. But as he reached his teens, he would begin stealing money from his parents so that he could use it for gambling. At the age of 14, he hated his home life so much that he actually changed his name to Walter. But we'll just keep it as Donato for purposes of this video. At the age of 16, he would get arrested for the first time for stealing a car so that he could sell the radio. Because this was his first offense and he had a clean record, the judge decided to put him in like a juvie instead of prison. This good deed would end up backfiring on the judge, though, because while he was in juvie, he ended up meeting criminals that were his age. So now he got out and he had criminal friends that were his age. He would spend the next few years in and out of jail in Italy and in France for like various petty crimes. He would get caught stealing from a church. He would get caught stealing a motor scooter. He would get caught stealing a truckload of Christmas sweets. And he would get arrested for being in possession of an illegal gun. He was also committed to the Genoa General Psychiatric Facility, but he escaped from there. Then in 1984, Donato would meet and befriend a seasoned thief that would basically take him under his wings and show him how to pull off bigger crimes with even bigger payouts. This man's name was Maurizio Parenti, and Donato not only looked at him as his first and only friend, but also as his best friend and like a mentor, as twisted as that is. The two would go gambling together quite often at the casino of San Remo. This was also around the time that Donato would become addicted to sex as well as gambling. Then in March of 1987, tragedy would strike in the Bilancia family. Donato's sister-in-law, 29-year-old Ornella Cacorcio, tells Donato's brother Michel that she wants a divorce and that she wants custody of the couple's 5-year-old son. This sends Michel into a spiral, and he would end up throwing himself in front of the Genoa Ventimiglia train line with the couple's son in his hands at the time. To really tell you what happens after that, do I? This devastates Donato, and he takes it incredibly hard. Then, just 3 years after that, in 1991, Donato would get into a very serious car accident that would leave him in a coma for 5 days. With petty theft aside, I feel what this man has had to endure up to this point in his life, he truly had to deal with blow after blow after blow, and nobody deserves that. But this is where my sympathy ends for him. While hanging out with Maurizio Parenti, Donato would have money coming in just as fast as it was going out. He finally felt accepted. His money problems finally seemed far away, and he was finally happy in his life. He was constantly going out to lavish dinners, buying everyone around him dinner and drinks, even if he didn't know them. He had a great group of friends. He was wearing flashy clothes and jewelry. He was able to buy any extravagant gift that he wanted. And it didn't take long for people to start looking at Donato as a loser that longed for friends and the perfect use for a free ATM. In October of 1997, Maurizio, the man that Donato looked at as his best friend, his mentor, and a brother, would conspire with another man to lure Donato to a card game that was rigged and essentially rob Donato of the equivalent of $256,000 US dollars. Along with this, let's remember this is 1997, which means $275,000 is worth way more than it is now. One night after the game, strictly by chance, Donato would overhear Maurizio and the owner of the club laughing about how they stole the $275,000 from Donato, and he would also hear them calling him that Libra chicken. For context, Libra is one of the names that Donato went by, and it refers to someone that is a lone wolf, that does not want accomplices, and that works alone. This was a complete shock to Donato, but more importantly, it was incredibly hurtful, as you can obviously imagine, right? That night, all the thoughts and feelings that Donato had experienced throughout his life came rushing back to him, and he decided that he was going to get revenge. October 16th, 1997, Donato goes into the home of Giorgio Centenaro, the man that he once considered a brother. At gunpoint, he forces him to undress and kneel down in front of him before him in the head, in front of his wife of less than a month, Carla Scotto, before he turned it on her. Then, before leaving the home, Donato rummaged through it and he stole money, Rolex watches, and jewelry. Donato had just committed his first, but more disturbing than that was the fact that he liked it. It made him feel powerful, and that was something that he had never felt before. October 24th, 1997, Donato enters the home of Maurizio Parenti, the owner of the gambling den, and the person that conspired with Giorgio to steal his money. Donato forces Parenti to get undressed and kneel down in front of him, and then he puts tape over his mouth and suffocates him before leaving the home. November 1997, Donato follows elderly goldsmith Bruno Saleri to his home. Once there, he robs the elderly man and his wife Maria Pitto. November 13th, 1997, Donato robs and kills money changer Luciano Maro. When he's done, he would end up leaving the home with around $25,000. January 25th, 1998, Donato would kill a night watchman named John Giorgio Canu, who was doing his rounds. This kill was done for no other reason than the fact that he didn't like Watchmen. He hated them ever since one busted him back in his petty theft days. When later questioned about these, Donato would say that it started out as revenge and then it became a hobby that turned into an addiction that made him feel good about himself. March 9th, 1998, Donato's next victim would be a 25-year-old Albanian sex worker named Stella Truja. March 18th, 1998, Donato's next victim would be 23-year-old Ukrainian sex worker Ludmila Zubskova with a blow to the head. At this point in time, Donato was wanted by police in Genoa, Imperia, Savona, San Remo, and Alessandria. He would later say in interviews that he had a goal to kill one woman of every nationality. March 20th, 1998, Donato's next victim would be money changer Enzo Gorni. He was shot before Donato emptied his safe and left. This time around, though, Donato was a little sloppy, and a witness spotted his black Mercedes fleeing from the crime scene. March 24th, 1998, Donato picks up an Ecuadorian transgender sex worker named Lorena Castro. He takes her to what he assumed was a secluded spot near a villa and asks her to perform oral. His plan was to shoot and kill her just as soon as she was done with the job. During this night, though, two watchmen were doing their rounds and they spotted them and they interrupted them. So Donato and killed night watcher Massimiliano Gualillo and Candido Rando. He also Lorena, but he didn't kill her. She was able to run and hide in some of the bushes, and after he couldn't find her, he fled the scene. Because Lorena survived, she was able to go to police and she was able to give them detailed descriptions about the suspect, come up with a composite sketch for them, tell them all about the black Mercedes that he drove, and even give them part of the plate number. March 29th, 1998, Donato would and kill 27-year-old Nigerian sex worker Evelyn Tessie Adodo. April 12th, 1998, Donato boards a train in Genoa heading towards Venice. He would later state that he just wanted to a woman, any woman. That's when he spots 32-year-old cancer nurse named Elisabetta Zappetti. She was on her way back home from a holiday. Donato followed the nurse into the bathroom and he entered the bathroom using a skeleton key that he made himself. He shot Elisabetta in the head and he stole her train ticket. However, he left behind her money and her jewelry. April 14th, 1998. Donato kills 21-year-old Macedonian sex worker Christina Valla. Not long after the death of Cristino, Donato targets a young Italian woman by the name Luisa. Shockingly, though, Luisa shows Donato a picture of her son and she begs for him to please spare her life so that her child is not an orphan. And for whatever reason, Donato agrees and he lets her go. Good on her, you know. April 18th, 1998, Donato boards another train traveling from Genoa to San Remo. While on the train, he comes across 32-year-old babysitter Maria Angela Rubino. When Maria got up to use the bathroom, Donato followed. And just like he did to the cancer nurse, on April 12th, Donato used his homemade skeleton key to open the door and to kill Maria. He used Maria's coat as a silencer and then... Okay. And then he masturbated and finished all over her body. Dead body. God. Okay, moving on. Donato would kill his final victim on April 20th, 1998. Gas station attendant Giuseppe Mileto. He shot and killed the man after he refused to give him credit for a full tank of gas. Behind the scenes at this whole time, based on the information that was given to police by Lorena, police had Donato Bilancia as their number one suspect, and they were watching him very closely for 10 days. They collected DNA from his cigarette butts and his coffee cups to compare to DNA found at the crime scene. He would finally be arrested at his home on May 6, 1998. During his arrest, police would find the revolver that was used in the murders. After 8 days in custody, Donato finally began to talk. He spoke to police over a period of 2 days, breaking down all of the murders, and he even drew police 17 diagrams. 17. He was sentenced to 13 life sentences plus 16 years. Then on December 17th, 2020, Donato Walter Bilancia would pass away at University Hospital of Padua from the Rona at the age of 69. All right, guys, if you're still here, thank you. I love you, and I appreciate you so very much. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't yet, and you feel so inclined to do so. I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, stay safe out there.